Hi FlossTube, welcome to my channel. My name is Robin and this is my channel, Lady Robins. If you are a returning friend and subscriber, welcome back. I'm really happy to have you here. And if you're a new friend and possibly subscriber, welcome to you too. Thank you for tuning in and seeing what I'm all about. It's cross stitch. That's what it's all about. We're going to talk about my favorite hobby, which is cross stitching. And just so you know, in case you need to see me on 2 social media platforms, I'm also on Instagram, same handle, Lady Robins. So I have had the joy and privilege of going to the Pacific Northwest Stitch Summit last weekend down in Portland, Oregon. It was glorious. It was epic. That's the word that Janine has been using to describe last week's retreat, and it was epic in all the good ways. It was fantastic. So I've got a little bit of a retreat update for you. Of course, we'll go over my stitching and my plans and all my nonsense. So get a mug. I have a new one to show you. My friend Becky, who is from Becky's House of Sewing. Hi, Becky. If you're not watching Becky, why aren't you? She's great. Anyway, Becky is from North Carolina, and she did me the honor of dragging a Starbucks mug across country to present it to me at Pacific Northwest Stitch Summit. So here is Miss Charlotte from North Carolina and from Becky. So Becky, thank you for my new mug. I love it. I love it. I love it. I have got coffee in here. I've got the dregs of coffee. I started it this morning, and so I just have the, the bare minimum at the bottom, but I had to show you my mug. Next video, I have a second mug that I was gifted at Pacific Northwest Stitch Summit that I will show you. So yeah, sneak peek of things to come on future episodes. All right. Do you have your stitching? Do you have your beverage? All right, we're good to go. Here we go. All right, I have 2 FFOs to show you, and a start and a finish and another 2 starts. I have all sorts of stuff to show you. So let's start with the fun stuff. Let's start with the FFOs. So I finally framed Frankenstein. And so if you remember, I stitched this at least 2 years ago, and this is by the Stitching Book Club, another really cool designer, and all of her pieces are based on classic literature. So anyway, I've done a Jane Austen piece by her. I've done her A Christmas Carol. I've done the Frankenstein. I've done Little Women. What else have I done? I feel like there's one more, but I can't think of it. I know I've started Pride and Prejudice, and that's a whopper, and I just haven't gotten, Secret Garden. That's the other one, Secret Garden. So I haven't finished Pride and Prejudice, but anyway, so here's my finish on Frankenstein, and this is an old frame that my husband and I found while, crawling through Goodwills. And the interesting thing about this frame, you guys, it's plastic. So it was something that, the right piece had to come along for this frame, and it was Frankenstein. It fits in here perfectly, and I kind of loved the, the old age distressed look. I stitched this on Picture This Plus. I think this is Ren. It's got kind of a green cast to it, and it was perfect for this piece. So there is my first FFO, Frankenstein, and it's going to go on the wall behind me. So those of you that comment that my wall is getting, little additions here and there, you're right. And this will be the next one that will get hung up there. So that should be on the wall behind me on my next video. So there is my first FFO, fully finished object. And then my second FFO is this sweet thing. I finally sat down and put the fringe on my Mykonos Meadow little, what does she call it? A candle mat. I think that's what it said, candle mat. I could be wrong, don't quote me. But anyway, this is by Avlea Folk Embroidery, whose designer is Krista West, who was one of our 2 designers at Pacific Northwest Stitch Summit. And I had the joy and the privilege of just running into her over and over again. Becky invited her to have dinner with us, and we were able to do that. There were 9 of us. It was great. The other folks that got to have dinner with us were 2 famous floss tubers. They're sisters. We are Curious Crafters, Anna and Carolyn. Hi, girls. And we also had a lovely stitcher, Melinda, Jessica, Debbie, Sheila, my girlfriend Lynn. I think that was all of us. We had a really nice time. So anyway, cute little story. I, of course, had to rush up to Krista and show her my finish of Mykonos Meadow. And in her directions, when she talks about making this fringe, there's our little fringe, she says, measure 2 inches down, or 2 inches, a half an inch down from this blue stitched line, and then pull a thread and cut it, and then pull all the bits out so you get your fringe. Well, I wasn't sure that a half an inch was enough fringe for me, so I went rogue and I did 3/4 of an inch, so I have an extra half an inch of fringe on my piece. Anyway, I showed it to Krista and she said, "Oh, your fringe is longer. Oh, I like that. Oh, that's great." And I was like, that is somebody that knows their stuff. She could recognize that there's an extra 1/4 of an inch of fringe on here. Yep, she noticed it. She could see that. I was amazed. I thought I'd, sneak my sneaky 1/4 inch, under the radar. Nobody would know. Nope, Krista knew. And in fact, at one point during the retreat, she was talking about finishing, and I was standing, by her to ask her something, and then she wanted to know where this piece was. I'm like, well, it's up on the show and tell table. And oh, can I take it? And she scooped it up and she took it off and showed another stitcher, the long fringe. So that was so fun. That was just absolutely hysterical and fun, and I loved every second of it. So those are my 2 fully finished objects. And a cute story about Krista West, who's delightful. All right, so I also wanted to give myself a new start, and I just happened to be going to the Bent Creek Virtuals Friend Stitch. It'll be this weekend on Saturday, and they have a pre-stitch, and then you finish the stitch during the retreat. So this is my pre-stitch. It's called Chill. Isn't that cute? Isn't that sweet? So this is a start and a finish since my last floss tube. So here we've got a start and a finish. I used all the called for flosses, and this is just something that was hanging around in the craft room that just happened to be the right size. So I didn't have to buy anything special. I had everything I needed to make the chill. So there is a start and a finish, and then during the Bent Creek, it'll be turned into an FFO, so I can bring that to you next time. So that was fun. And I actually I started it before the retreat, and then I finished it at this Pacific Northwest Stitch Summit, so I got to ring the bell. So that was fun because I've never done that before. So all sorts of firsts this last weekend. The other thing, I guess I should show you my other start. because I do have on my magazine monthly challenge, I do have listed a new start. And so I wasn't really thinking about chill as my new start. I started a shepherd's bush. I love the shepherd's bush notes patterns, and it's almost fall, you guys. We have like, what is today? Today's the 18th. So I think fall starts on the 22nd. So I had like 3 days. This won't be done in 3 days, but I started Autumn Notes by the Shepherd's Bush. And it's a combination of, you know, DMCs and fancy flosses. So where I had the fancy floss in my stash, I used that. When I didn't have it, I just pulled the DMC. So there we are. Once again, there's Autumn Notes. Super cute. And let me show you my start on that. And it's a lot of back stitching, and because of that, I'm actually using my Nerge hoop to stitch this. Okay, so there it is. So there you can see I've got Harvest Moon stitched, and I've got the big autumn, and this is actually as long as it will be. So I've pulled that all the way down, and then just starting to pull this all the way down. So it's not a whopper. It's only 49 stitches wide by 76 high. I'm stitching it on a 32 count fabric, but I'm stitching it 1/2, which is what is suggested. And this is maybe my 6th shepherd's bush note that I've stitched, and I've done that on all of them, and I think the coverage is fantastic. And keeping with the theme, this was also a scrap of fabric that was, oh, you can see my Nerge my Nerge wrinkles. It was another scrap of fabric that I found in the craft room, and so once again, I did not have to you know, buy anything special. And in fact, in the full disclosure category, I had a bit of an avalanche in the craft closet. I have a wooden rack that I use in there to store all my stitching things and craft supplies on there. And over time, this wooden cabinet has kind of warped a little bit. And when I say a little bit, I mean a lot. So it no longer fits straight up against the wall. There's like a 3-inch gap between the back of the cabinet, or the, you know, the unit, and the wall. And so things have a tendency of, you know, taking a dive and falling to the floor. And I had an IKEA box that had a lid on the top of it, and the lid fell off the box when I was moving it and slid down the wall and disappeared behind the little storage unit. And I kept thinking, oh, I'll get it later. Oh, I'll get it later. And something else slid behind there. And I'm like, oh, now I have to go digging back there, because it was my DMC floss chart that has all of the threads, you know, and it's the one that has the honest to goodness threads wrapped on it. So, you know, I consult that quite often. So anyway, when I lost my DMC thread chart, I'm like, okay, now I've got to go, you know, diving behind that rack. So I started pulling things out, and I'm like, oh yeah, here's my DMC thing. And I'm like, well, as long as I'm back here, where's the lid to that dumb box? I could not find it. I mean, I got to the floor. I have pulled everything off. There's nothing underneath the floor. I've unloaded one whole side. And in the process of doing that, the number of bags of fabric, of cross-stitch fabric that has slipped down the wall was actually quite shocking. I am not allowed to buy any 32 count linen ever. So luckily my son is a better searcher than I am. There was one little section that I hadn't unloaded and it was hung up in all that stuff. So he found my lid for me. So I have rediscovered fabric, and all of this fabric was stuff that had fallen down behind the rack. So there you go. I have been able to use supplies I didn't even know I had. So anyway, I thought that was that's a good lesson to me. Yeah, dig through your stash before you go out and buy stuff, because you probably have exactly what you need or something that's so close nobody will care. So anyway, yeah, so you know, that was fun. That was fun to actually find things that did exactly what I needed them to do. Okay, so finishes, couple starts. Now, what have I been stitching on? So besides autumn notes, the other thing, I'm looking down, the other thing that I kind of got back to was Harvest Forest by the WallFlower. That was a Jingle Ball purchase, and so I bought the kit. I was lucky enough to get the kit. So when I picked this up, I just had this little peak, you know, about down to there, and this side was complete. So I finished the peak. I've added that cute little bird, and then I made the next section. So, you know, I got a fair bit of stitching in on that. So I'm really happy with my progress. And that's also on my monthly cross stick, monthly magazine monthly challenge. So I've completed the 200 stitches that I said I needed to do on that. So that's great. I'm really happy with that. The next thing that I stitched on, I think since last I saw you, I didn't do much, but I'm working on my Halloween Quaker by Primrose Cottage. And so I think since last I saw you, I finished the bats. I started this little diagonal, and then there's this Quaker up here, and so I'm starting to put in that Quaker. So, you know, just a little, you know, little tiny pillow. It's not big. It's 85 by 85. So, you know, if I give this some, you know, some dedicated stitching time, I should have that done way before Halloween. So that's the other thing that I stitched on. And then besides that, you guys, the other thing that I spent a lot of time stitching on, I've put, you know, probably 3.5 days into it, is one of our pieces from Pacific Northwest Stitch Summit. So let me show you what we got, and then I'll show you which project I started working on. Okay, so when we got to Pacific Northwest Stitch Summit, we were handed a bag. I love these bags. They were $7.50 if you wanted to buy them at the store. I bought 2 and was given 1, so I came home with 4. Yay! Okay, so yeah, to show you the last thing I stitched on, I actually have to you know, show you what we got at the Stitch Summit. So from Krista of Avlea Folk Embroidery, our designers went crazy. We had Krista West, who is Avlea Folk Embroidery, and Gigi, I think you pronounce it Rivas, who is the artsy housewife. And those ladies knocked it out of the park. They didn't give us 1 kitted project. They each gave us 2 kitted projects. Unheard of. Unheard of. So what we received from Krista is this cute, cute little guy. It's called Little Leaves, and this is what I started at the retreat. They gave it to us, and I just couldn't wait to start it, so I did. It is it's a 9 by 12 piece. It's on 32 Mykonos ivory linen, which came in the kit, and it only has 6 colored flosses. I don't know, doesn't it look like more? So this is my start on Little Leaves. And it is absolutely, this Mykonos fabric is a delight to stitch on. A delight. So I've put it away because I don't want to finish it too fast. I'm going to see my best friend from high school. She lives in North Carolina. Hi, Becky. I know she's right next door to you. I know. Sorry, girlfriend. But this is going to be my my travel stitch to see my girlfriend in North Carolina. So there's still plenty of stitching. There's still plenty of stitching to go. So that's been set aside. So I'll have, you know, stitching on the airplane, stitching. We've planned already to have a stitching day. My other girlfriend, Lynn, hi Lynn, is also coming. So Lynn and I are flying to North Carolina. So yeah, that's on my plans of things I'm going to be stitching in a week. Okay, so back to Pacific Northwest Stitch Summit. The second piece we received from Krista is this piece of gorgeousness. Look at this. This will be, so the fabric is 15 by 27. It won't be quite that big because of course we've got this wonderful border, but what is super cool is this is on the traditional ground cloth that they use over in Greece. And look at that. That is all the flosses we need to complete this amazing design. Amazing. So that is what we received from Avlea Folk Embroidery, along with this canvas bag, and stuffed way down in the bag, and I don't, oh, here it is, was just a little sneaky. This is pretty much a third project, but Krista didn't tell us about it. Is this cute little card? This is the design that's on that bag, along with a diagram if you want to embroider it. So fun. So fun. We also received from Krista a beautiful needle minder and a floss drop and all the goodness. So that was just spectacular. But then the spectacularness does not stop there. The Artsy Housewife gave us this awesome kit. And again, two projects. So we received the fabric and the floss. So here's our fabric, 36 count fabric. All the flosses, look at those, all those flosses, and our two charts. We received Brambling Hill, which is of course a new design, and By Moonlight. Aren't these great? I don't know which one I want to start first, but I want to start them immediately. I want to stitch all the things. So it was so wonderful. It was just, we were just overwhelmed. We couldn't wait to see the project that we got from each designer, and then we got two. I mean, talk about knocking it out of the park, right? The other thing that I picked up when I was at Acorns and Threads, I picked up an Avlea kit, and it's called Iris's Paint Box. And the reason I bought this is I wanted to stitch on the traditional ground cloth, because Krista's talked about that in her floss tubes. If you're not watching her floss tubes, you really should, because they're fantastic. She's got tutorials. She's amazing. I'm not saying that Gigi isn't. Please don't take it the wrong way, because Gigi is amazing. And her talk, when she talked about her designs, she talked about how she, she likes borders, and she usually creates the border first, and then she decides who lives inside of it. And I thought, well, that was charming. I loved that idea. Okay, so just quickly, I purchased this at Acorns and Threads. It's on the traditional ground cloth. It's even better, bigger than the kit we got from the retreat. This thing is 19 by 30, and look at all those flosses. Yeah, there's a boatload in there. This will take me a bit. So that's the charts, and I did not go nuts shopping. I was very proud of myself, because these are big projects that will take some time, and they announced who the designers are for next year's, the 2026 Pacific Northwest Stitch Summit. We're gonna have 3 designers, you guys. It's gonna be Lindy Stitches, the WallFlower, and Plum Street. So we have 3 designers coming for next year, which is the 30th anniversary of Acorns and Threads. So can hardly wait to see what happens with that. So I do have some pictures to show at the end. I'll tack them onto the end of the retreat. And I did find my 4th Danbo troll with my family. That was super fun, so I might sneak a few troll pictures in there for you. And I have got just so much stitching ahead of me. I am really happy with all of the things. I did fill out my, it's down here on my pile somewhere. I did fill out my magazine monthly challenge for September, which I hadn't done on our last video. And so I'm not gonna spend a million hours telling you what I've got coming up, but our overarching theme was saddle up, and I thought I could saddle up that reindeer in the Festive Forest from WallFlower, and so I've already completed that. Our acrostic is Giddy Up, and I want to make some progress on Monster House Sal. So for the G, I have there's ghosts in the monster house. For the I, there's seagulls in the air in Harbor Haven. I got a little bit to finish on chart 7, and I want to get that done. There's 2 D's in Giddy Up, so I said there's monsters in the dungeon in the monster house, and Dracula is in the attic. So covered my 2 D's again with monster house. For the Y, I said yay, new start. Well, got that covered in spades. For the U, I went with a Halloween Quaker. There's a U in Quaker. So gonna get to my Primrose Cottage. And P, dusting off an old one that's been hanging around, is my Peppermint Purple Blackwork piece. So those are all the things that I am going to be stitching on coming up here, and I got to get my needle flying to complete this. I mean, I've completed Festive Forest, I've completed my new start, but everything else I gotta get to. So it's gonna be fast and furious stitching. I am reading for my band book club, The Perks of Being a WallFlower, and I'm about halfway through on that, and I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. It's you know, it's kind of told through the lens of, you know, a young man. He's about 15 and he's writing letters. So it's all told through these letters that he's writing. And that's one of my favorite. I love epistolary books. Like if you haven't read the Guernsey, what is it? The Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society. You should read that. That's another one. Yeah, that's a great one. So, and then I just read Love and Saffron, and that was also told in letters back and forth between the two main characters. Loved that also. So anyway, there's a couple of books for you. All right. I have got tons of things to put away. I received so many really nice gifts from my table mates. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Denise and Neela and Debbie and Wanda and Sheila and Lynn for my wonderful table gifts from you guys. They're all fabulous. And then all sorts of goodness from, you know, from the other people attending, from, you know, Becky, from Anna and Carolyn, and, you know, too many more to name, but thank you all for everything. I really, really, really appreciate it, and I appreciate you. Have a really great couple of weeks. I will tack on some pictures. I don't think I have any video, so it'll just all be still pictures, but I hope you enjoy them, and I hope to see you in a couple of weeks. Okay, stitch happy, my friends. See you soon. Bye.